My husband took the house, the car, even my clothes. But he didn't know what was hidden in the walls. My husband, the man I trusted with everything, changed the locks, took the car, emptied my closet, and filed for divorce like I was just a name on a bill he didn't want to pay. But in his rush to erase me, he forgot about the one thing still buried in our walls, the one file that held everything. And once I opened it, his perfect little world began to crack, one secret at a time. When I first met Daniel, he was charming, warm, and so put together. I was working late shifts at a bookstore cafe, wearing second-hand jeans and dreaming about someday. He walked in one night, ordered black coffee, and stayed to talk until closing. I never saw it coming. How a smile like his could eventually destroy someone like me. We dated for just over a year. He was quick to say, "I love you," and even quicker to buy a ring. A small, simple ceremony, barely 20 guests. I didn't care about the flowers or the dress. I just wanted love, a family, something steady. And for a while it felt like I had it. He supported my dream to go back to school, paid the rent, even helped me open a small interior design studio. It wasn't big, but it was mine. And Daniel? He was the man standing beside me. Until he wasn't. The change was slow, subtle. It started with the late nights. Then the strange passwords on his phone. He'd snap if I asked about money. And the worst part? He'd look at me like I was a stranger in my own home. One day I came back from a weekend trip to see my mom. And the locks were changed. My key didn't work. My phone had over a dozen missed calls from my landlord, my bank, my credit card company. And then it hit me. Daniel had removed me from everything. Bank accounts. The lease. Even my business website was gone, redirected, hijacked by someone else. My emails? Locked out. When I finally got a hold of him, he said only one sentence. "You're not coming back here. This house isn't yours anymore." I thought it was a bad dream. But then came the legal documents, neatly stapled, with my name printed like I was an afterthought. He was divorcing me, claiming everything was his, the house, the car, the studio, even the furniture I had picked by hand. I had nothing. Not even a place to sleep. For 2 nights I crashed on a friend's couch, too ashamed to tell anyone the full story. But then, I remembered something. Our first renovation. Back when we bought the house, Daniel had insisted on hiding a safe behind the living room wall. For emergency files, he'd said. We used it for old contracts, receipts, documents we never wanted to misplace. And I still had the original backup key. So that night, after making sure he was out of town, I quietly returned. I entered the house like a ghost. Everything looked colder, like it had forgotten me. But I walked straight to the wall behind the bookshelf, pried it open. And there it was. The safe. I opened it, not expecting much. But what I found made my knees buckle. Folders. Contracts. Emails. Financial statements with my name on them. Evidence that I was co-owner in the business. That I had contributed to the down payment of the house. That Daniel had hidden assets, big ones. And one more thing. A voice recorder. I pressed play. Daniel's voice filled the silence. If she ever finds out about the crypto, I'm screwed. But she won't. She's too soft. That's the thing about Claire, she trusts too easy. All I have to do is act like I'm the victim. Spin it. Make her look unstable. My hands shook. I wasn't crazy. He had planned this. Every smile, every step of kindness. Just a setup to take everything and leave me without a single thread of dignity. But he didn't know I'd find this. He didn't know I'd fight back. And I wouldn't do it with rage or revenge. I'd do it with receipts. I left the house that night, locked the safe again, and called the one person I knew would believe me, Martha, my old college professor, now a respected family attorney. I told her everything. And when I handed her the file, she said something I'll never forget. He just buried himself. The next few weeks were a storm. Court filings. Subpoenas. Surveillance footage. We even tracked payments he had made under false names. His secrets began to unravel like the hem of a cheap suit. But Daniel wasn't done yet. When he found out I had lawyered up, he tried to smear me. Spreading lies about my mental health, claiming I was violent, unstable. He even forged texts to make me look like a gold digger. But I had the file. I had the voice. And I had something stronger than his lies, the truth. The day we faced each other in court for the first time, he looked smug. Polished suit, expensive watch. I wore a thrifted dress and a quiet smile. As I knew something he didn't. I wasn't just here to fight for what I lost. I was here to reveal everything he tried to bury. Daniel's attorney spoke first. Confident. Cold. He painted me as a dependent ex-wife who contributed nothing and was now trying to bleed her hard-working husband dry. His words were sharp, rehearsed, like they'd been practicing this narrative for months. And then it was our turn. Martha, my lawyer, stood up with that calm fire in her voice, the kind that makes everyone in the room lean in. She walked to the judge, placed the folder on the table and said, "Your Honor, this is not about a bitter ex-wife. This is about fraud, deceit, and a woman who built something, only to have it stolen in silence." Then she opened the folder. She showed the court my business receipts, signed contracts that proved I had invested in the company, bank statements that showed shared income, audio of Daniel laughing about how easy it was to manipulate me. And then came the turning point, the voice recording. Martha pressed play. Daniel's voice echoed in the courtroom. "She's too soft. All I have to do is act like I'm the victim, spin it. Make her look unstable." The room went dead quiet. The judge raised his eyebrows. Daniel's attorney looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. And Daniel, he just froze. No smirk. No words. The judge called a recess. I stepped out into the hallway, heart racing, but for the first time, I didn't feel scared. I felt seen. Over the next few weeks, the courtroom became our battlefield. Daniel tried everything. Delaying tactics, filing for restraining orders, even attempting to freeze the account that paid for my legal fees. But every time he moved, we had a counter. Why? Because for once, I wasn't the girl hoping for love to save me. I was the woman who saved herself. My friends started coming around more. People who had disappeared when things got messy. My parents offered to help pay my rent, but I said no. I wanted to stand on my own feet, even if they were shaky. During this time, I got a call from a woman named Alina. "I think I'm the next you," she said quietly. Turns out she had dated Daniel before me. He had done the same thing. Used her for money, for a car lease, and ghosted her the moment she asked for clarity. We met for coffee. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was strong. And when we hugged goodbye, she whispered, "End him for both of us." So I did. Our final hearing lasted 6 hours. Daniel, now nervous and cracking under pressure, kept contradicting himself. His stories didn't match. His documents were tampered with. His body language screamed guilt. When Martha brought up the hidden crypto wallet, backed by screenshots and transfer logs, it was the final nail in the coffin. The judge leaned back in his chair, took a long pause, then said, "Mr. Collins, not only have you misled this court, but you've attempted to erase your wife from a business she helped build. I see no basis for your claims. I rule in favor of Claire." I couldn't breathe. Not because I was shocked, but because after everything I finally felt free. Daniel lost the house. He lost the business. He was ordered to pay back a portion of my investment and cover my legal fees. But the most important thing? He lost control. He couldn't twist the narrative anymore. He couldn't gaslight me, couldn't shut me out, couldn't make me doubt my worth again. That night, I returned to the house one last time. Not to stay, but to pack up the last box. The sun was setting. The rooms were empty. And on the pillow where I once laid my head, I placed a single key. Nothing else. It was never about the house. It was never about the furniture or the car or even the money. It was about reminding myself that I was never the guest. I built that life. And now I was ready to build something better without him. The weeks after the final hearing were quiet. Not the kind of lonely quiet I used to fear, but peaceful, steady silence. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of the city. It wasn't fancy. The floors creaked. The heater took forever to warm up. But it was mine. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up to a closed door or walk on eggshells around someone who saw me as a burden. I could breathe again, think again, dream again. One night, I found myself sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by boxes, old photos, my favorite books, a dusty journal I hadn't opened since the early days of my marriage. Inside were pages I barely remembered writing, dreams I had tucked away, business ideas I never dared pursue. Quotes that once lit me up inside, all buried beneath years of self-doubt. I cried that night, not out of sadness but relief. Daniel had taken so much from me. The house, the money, my clothes, even my name in some ways. But he hadn't taken me. He never could. I started working on something new. A small business idea just for me. Nothing massive. Nothing public. But it felt right. I reached out to Alina again. We laughed over wine, shared stories, and made a plan to launch something together. Two women who had been used, now choosing to rise, not out of revenge but from power. I began therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I had allowed myself to shrink for so long. My therapist said something I'll never forget. She said, "Sometimes we confuse love with survival. You weren't staying because you loved him. You were staying because you thought you couldn't survive without him. Now look at you." She was right. Every day I chose myself more. I wore colors he said didn't suit me. Ate food he once mocked. Listened to music that made me feel alive. I stopped explaining myself. Stopped trying to prove I was enough. I just lived. And it felt beautiful. Then one afternoon I got an envelope in the mail. Daniel had filed for bankruptcy. I smiled. Not because I was happy he was struggling, but because it wasn't mine to carry anymore. His lies. His losses. His mess. It was never mine. And now the world was reminding him of that, too. A few months later I visited the old house. I stayed across the street. Someone new had moved in. A young couple, laughing as they painted the front door a soft yellow. I felt nothing. No pain. No jealousy. Just peace. That house was never my home. It was just the place I learned what home actually meant. Home was not four walls. Not shared closets. Not a last name on a mailbox. Home was knowing who you are, and never letting someone take that away again. So I turned, walked away, and didn't look back. Because I was no longer the woman he left behind. I was the woman who rebuilt from ashes. The woman he underestimated. The woman who hid the truth in the walls, and when it was time used it to break free. And now? I'm just getting started. If you felt her story, if you've ever been underestimated, betrayed, or left to clean up someone else's mess, then this channel is for you. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Because we're just getting started.